You are being harvested by people who smile, because your need to be good advertises weakness, and predators recognize obedience faster than you recognize danger. You are trained to believe that goodness protects you, that if you act fairly, people will respond in kind. That decency creates safety. That belief is the first cage. The world does not reward virtue. It exploits visibility. And goodness, when displayed without teeth, becomes a signal not of strength, but of availability. From childhood, you were taught that being agreeable makes you trustworthy, that helping without question makes you admirable, that sacrificing yourself proves character. In reality, these traits function like scent trails. They announce, "I will absorb costs so others don't have to." Predators don't hunt strength. They hunt efficiency. And nothing is more efficient than a person who polices himself. You were never attacked because you were weak. You were targeted because you were reliable. Reliability is profitable. This is the first inversion you must accept. The world does not sort people by morality. It sorts them by utility. The mistake isn't kindness. It's unguarded kindness. Kindness without leverage, without consequence, without withdrawal. That version of you becomes infrastructure. People lean on it. Then they build on it. Then they forget it's alive. And when it collapses, they call it unfortunate, not unjust. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most exploitation doesn't require malice. It requires permission. Permission given through predictability, through consistency without boundaries, through the need to be seen as good. You learn to associate restraint with virtue. You learned that anger was dangerous, that boundaries were selfish, that saying no made you small. So you internalized obedience and called it maturity. That internalized restraint is what predators read first. They don't need to test you loudly. They watch microreactions. How quickly you apologize. How fast you explain yourself. How uncomfortable silence makes you. These are tells. You think you're being polite. They see a system that will bend before it breaks. And once someone realizes you would rather suffer quietly than create friction, they stop respecting you as a person and start managing you as a resource. This is not cruelty. It is economy. The most dangerous lie you were given is that exploitation is rare and evil. It is. It's mundane. It's structural. It happens every day through expectations, favors, emotional access, and unspoken obligations. You are not surrounded by villains. You are surrounded by incentives. And your behavior taught others how to use you. This is why confrontation feels wrong to you. Why boundaries feel aggressive. Why withholding feels immoral. Your identity was built around being consumable. The trap is not that others take advantage of you. The trap is that you derive identity from being taken. That identity is expensive. It costs energy, time, dignity, and eventually self-respect. And the longer you maintain it, the harder it becomes to leave, because leaving would mean admitting you were never being virtuous, only useful. This chapter is not about becoming cruel. It's about removing the mask that made cruelty toward you acceptable. The first fracture in the system is awareness. Not awareness of others, awareness of yourself as a resource being mined. Once you see that, the game changes. Because predators can't hunt what no longer broadcasts submission. And the moment you stop performing goodness for approval, a different kind of silence begins to form around you. A dangerous one. Exploitation is not an accident. It is a skill refined by pattern recognition. The people who use you are not chaotic villains. They are efficient observers. They don't dominate loudly, they select quietly. And the moment you understand what they look for, you realize how exposed you've been. They scan for one thing above all else: predictability under pressure. A user doesn't need power. They need consistency. They watch how you respond when expectations rise, when deadlines tighten, when guilt enters the room. They notice whether you explain yourself too much, whether you apologize for existing, whether discomfort makes you rush to fix things that were never yours to fix. That's the signal. You believe empathy is your strength. They see it as a lever, because empathy without boundaries becomes compliance with extra steps. The exploiter's mind works on a simple algorithm: who absorbs cost without retaliation. That person becomes the container. They don't consciously think, "I will drain this person." They think, "This one always says yes." Or worse, "This one doesn't even notice when I take." Exploitation thrives in ambiguity. The more unclear your limits, the more others will define them for you. And they will define them in their own favor. Here is the part most people miss. Users are not emotionally cold, they are emotionally efficient. They mirror just enough warmth to maintain access. They offer appreciation just enough to keep you invested. They withdraw it the moment you hesitate. This push-pull isn't cruelty. It's calibration. They are measuring how much resistance exists between desire and compliance. And most people fail that test immediately, because they mistake emotional responsiveness for depth. They think connection equals safety. But connection is only safe when you can withdraw it without fear. The exploiter studies reactions the way a trader studies markets. They track fluctuations in mood, energy, availability. They learn what makes you over-explain, what makes you overgive, what makes you chase closure. Once mapped, they don't need to pressure you. They simply wait. They know guilt will do the work. This is why you feel drained after certain interactions. Your energy wasn't taken forcefully. It was harvested through patterns you repeated willingly. The most dangerous manipulators don't ask for much. They just never give you space to stop giving. And because they never explicitly demand, you never feel justified in refusing. This is the genius of modern exploitation. It hides behind politeness. You were trained to see exploitation as aggressive. Raised voices, threats, violence. But the real threat speaks softly and waits patiently. It praises your reliability. It compliments your loyalty. It frames your exhaustion as virtue. And slowly, your sense of self shrinks to what you provide. Here is the uncomfortable truth. If someone benefits from your exhaustion and feels no urgency to change it, they are not unaware, they are adapted. You are not being misunderstood. You are being used correctly. Once you understand this, something inside you fractures. Not emotionally, strategically. You stop asking why people take advantage of you. You start asking why you keep advertising availability. That shift is the beginning of danger. Because once you stop broadcasting your usefulness, the wrong people grow nervous. And the right ones begin to reveal themselves. Every system creates a role for the person who never resists. That role is not chosen, it is assigned. You don't fall into exploitation randomly. You are sorted. The world tests everyone early. A small boundary here. A minor inconvenience there. A moment where saying no would cost social comfort. Most people fail that test quietly. Not because they are weak, but because they confuse harmony with safety. The useful man archetype forms when someone proves they will absorb friction to preserve peace. Once that pattern is detected, the environment adjusts around it. Responsibility slides downhill. Expectations grow heavier. Gratitude becomes symbolic instead of material. And the useful man adapts. He tells himself it's temporary, that things will balance out, that people will notice. They do notice. They notice he never pushes back. There are 3 dominant forms this archetype takes. The fixer. He solves problems before they become visible. This makes him indispensable and invisible. The better he performs, the more chaos gets rooted toward him. Eventually, his competence becomes a liability. The loyal one. He confuses endurance with virtue. He stays when conditions rot. He calls it integrity. Others call it reliability. In truth, he has trained people to treat his presence as guaranteed. The emotional container. He absorbs moods, tension, stress. He listens without burdening. He regulates the room, and in doing so becomes the emotional dumping ground for people who never reciprocate. Each archetype is rewarded in the short term and erased in the long term. Because usefulness invites dependency, not respect. And dependency does not preserve dignity, it consumes it. The dangerous illusion is that your value increases with sacrifice. In reality, value is assigned by scarcity, not effort. The more accessible you are, the less leverage you hold. This is why people who do the least often command the most. They force others to orbit them. They create gravity through absence. The useful man does the opposite. He orbits everyone else. And the moment he stops, the system reacts violently. Guilt appears. Confusion. Passive aggression. Subtle punishment. Not because you're wrong, but because the system is losing free labor. This is the moment most people retreat. They interpret resistance as evidence they've become selfish. In truth, they've become unpredictable. And unpredictability threatens systems built on extraction. The most dangerous part. You were taught to admire this role. Culture praises self-sacrifice, rewards self-neglect, calls it humility. But humility without leverage is submission wearing good manners. The useful man doesn't lack strength. He lacks boundaries reinforced by consequence. And until those consequences exist, the world will continue to shape him into whatever shape benefits it most. This chapter is not about becoming cold. It's about recognizing the invisible contract you've been honoring alone. Because once you see the pattern, you can no longer unsee it. And once you stop playing your assigned role, the game exposes itself. Exploitation doesn't announce itself. It camouflages as normalcy. By the time you sense something is wrong, the structure has already hardened around you. The expectations are unspoken but fixed. You are no longer interacting, you are maintaining. This is where most people lose the plot. They assume exploitation must feel hostile. Raised voices, clear disrespect, obvious malice. But the most efficient form is quieter. It hides inside routine. It lives in phrases like, "You're just better at this," or "I don't know what I'd do without you." or "you always understand." These are not compliments. They are contracts, unsigned but binding. Once spoken, they quietly redefine your role. The trap is subtle. Appreciation replaces compensation. Recognition replaces reciprocity. You are paid in validation instead of value. And because validation feels good in the moment, you don't notice the exchange rate collapsing. Exploitation becomes invisible when it feels familiar. Your nervous system adjusts. Your baseline shifts. What once felt like overextension becomes normal. This is how people work themselves into quiet resentment while still defending the very system draining them. Because admitting exploitation would require admitting participation. And that threatens identity. So instead, the mind reframes. They're just stressed. They didn't mean it. It's not a big deal. Each rationalization strengthens the cage. Here's the truth most never face. If someone benefits from your exhaustion and feels no urgency to reduce it, they are complicit, even if they appear kind. Intent is irrelevant. Impact is the metric. Exploitation does not require malice. It requires comfort with imbalance. And once imbalance stabilizes, it becomes invisible. That's why confrontation feels disproportionate. Why speaking up feels like overreacting. Why silence feels safer than clarity. The system trains you to self-correct before anyone else has to. You start preemptively managing expectations, anticipating needs, minimizing yourself. This is not kindness. It is internalized obedience. And obedience is easiest to enforce when the subject believes it's their own choice. The final stage of invisible exploitation is moral inversion. You begin to see boundaries as cruelty, distance as betrayal, self-preservation as selfishness. Meanwhile, those who benefit from your erosion call it maturity. This is how people lose years without noticing. Not through violence, through normalization. And once exploitation becomes invisible, it becomes permanent, unless something disrupts the pattern. That disruption never comes from others. It comes from a refusal that feels out of character. That refusal is the fracture point. And fractures scare systems built on smooth extraction. Power does not announce itself. It withdraws. Once you recognize the machinery exploiting you, the instinct is confrontation, explanation, confrontation, justification. That impulse is a mistake. Words invite negotiation. Negotiation reopens the door. Real leverage begins with silence. Not passive silence. Strategic absence. You stop over-explaining. You stop filling gaps. You stop rescuing situations that were never yours to manage. This is not rebellion. It's recalibration. The moment you remove your automatic availability, the environment destabilizes. Systems built on your consistency begin to malfunction. Deadlines slip. Tension surfaces. People grow confused. That confusion is data. You're watching who depended on your obedience, not your presence. Strategic withdrawal doesn't look dramatic. It looks boring. Delayed replies. Neutral tone. Short answers where there used to be paragraphs. No anger. No speeches. No declarations. Just absence of excess. This is where most people panic, because silence feels like loss of control. But silence is control reclaimed. When you stop explaining, Others are forced to interpret. When you stop volunteering, others must ask. When you stop absorbing chaos, chaos becomes visible. And visibility changes power dynamics. The key is restraint. You do not confront the parasite. You starve it. Every time you resist the urge to clarify, justify, or soften, you reclaim a unit of authority. This is not cruelty. This is boundary enforcement without emotional leakage. People accustomed to access will test you. They will guilt you. They will feign confusion. They may accuse you of changing. That accusation is confirmation. Because what they really mean is, you no longer behave in a way that benefits me. Strategic withdrawal is not withdrawal from life. It is withdrawal from unpaid labor. And the moment you stop forming, the hierarchy reveals itself. Some relationships will collapse immediately. Others will renegotiate. Both outcomes are wins. The goal is not dominance. It is self-possession. You are not becoming distant. You are becoming scarce. And scarcity, when combined with composure, creates gravity. At this stage, something shifts internally. You stop chasing equilibrium. You start enforcing it. And once you taste that control, quiet, clean, unannounced, returning to old patterns feels impossible. This is the point of no return. Because the moment you realize you can withhold without apology, the world stops treating you as infrastructure and starts treating you as terrain. There is a moment, quiet, internal, when the old identity collapses. Not dramatically, not with pain, with clarity. You realize the version of you that sought approval was never you. It was a construct built to survive a system that rewarded compliance. And once that system loses access, the construct becomes unnecessary. This is where most people panic. Because identity death feels like emptiness before it feels like power. You no longer know how to perform. You no longer feel the impulse to explain yourself. You stop narrating your intentions. Silence replaces performance. And in that silence, something unsettling happens. You are no longer predictable. The world reacts to this with discomfort. People who benefited from your availability feel disoriented. They test you with guilt, nostalgia, or sudden affection. They attempt to resurrect the old version of you. This is not reconciliation. It is retrieval. The mistake would be to interpret this attention as proof you were valued. It is proof you were useful. Identity replacement requires one brutal acceptance. You cannot carry your old moral identity into a new position of power. The good person mask must die. Not goodness itself, but goodness that needs recognition. You replace it with something colder and cleaner, self-sovereignty. You begin to move without explanation, to choose without apology, to act without needing agreement. This is where power quietly consolidates. Because power is not domination, it is independence from reaction. When you stop needing to be understood, you become unreadable. When you stop seeking approval, you stop leaking leverage. Others feel this shift instinctively. They speak differently around you. They test less. They assume less access. You haven't become hostile. You've become opaque. And opacity is terrifying to those who rely on visibility to control. This is the final separation. You are no longer a role in their story. You are a sovereign presence moving through it. Not louder, Not harsher, just unreachable. This is where the old self dissolves completely. And in that space, something durable forms, not an identity built to be liked, but a position built to endure.